Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Eric Sheets-Haber along with Bobby Fi, and we're going to be going over the his Rams playing against the Vikings. We're going to talk about the Showdown slate. For those of you who have not heard, the game was moved from LA to Arizona because of all the fires. It doesn't really matter. They have no home fans anyway in LA, so whoever they did have are going to probably come over to Arizona anyway. I wonder if the line moved at all. Did the line move at all?
Yeah, it moved 2 points at first because
Really?
it dropped down. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the Ram. You got to think every Rams player left with all their family, and a lot of these guys live in these places, so they're losing their homes while they're playing. So I think it's just a little bit of a distraction.
Oh, I thought. Okay, so it's okay. Yeah, I guess so. So I think that's a little bit wide to move the line by 2 points, honestly, given everything. But that's just my opinion. So if the line did in fact move to whatever, so what is it now? Like pick 'em or something? No, what is it?
No, it's 2.5. It dropped down to like close to even, and then it went to 2.5. And I'm just double
So
checking.
Minnesota's favored by 2.5.
Yeah.
I happen to really like the Rams. If in fact the line did move 2 points, I don't think that was warranted here.
Yeah.
So I definitely like the Rams here against the spread. That's the first thing.
I like the same thing. I am a little concerned that with all this stuff, it's just a little bit of a distraction, and that those things can sometimes have an effect. But I think that McVay is pretty good at getting his guys ready to go.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's a very interesting slate as far as showdowns go because, well, okay, so here's the deal. First of all, they made it I think a milli maker in the big lottery.
Yeah.
So people are going to try to fire like all kinds of stuff today, but the punts, the first thing I looked at were really bad, and we'll get into that. And again, the first thing you have to decide when you're going to play the lottery is like who to include in your pool at all. And you look at like Sabersim, for example, they got a bunch of guys in here with projections, and we'll go over all these guys when we get there. But Xavier Smith, Tyler Johnson, Cody Schrader, Hunter Long, these are all guys under a point. Jordan Whittington, Ronnie Rivers, and they got a CJ Ham with 1 point, Davis Allen 1 point, Colby Parkinson 1 point, Sherfield 1 point, Ty Chandler 2 points. These are all guys underneath the centers, underneath the kickers and defenses, right? You have Johnny Munt with like a 2 point projection, Brandon Powell even with a 2.8 point projection. This is the captain, obviously, so it's a little bit less here. But and then you get up to Oliver, Tutu Atwell, and then finally you get into guys that actually might have shots. And so the question is going to be, one of the questions going to be is how much do you deal with these? Because what I think people are going to run the risk of doing is watching game logs, and I don't think people are this stupid, but it's possible that people look at last week's game logs and say, "Oh my God, look at these guys getting all this work," forgetting maybe that the Rams sat all their players. I don't think people can be that bad, but I think that they could be a little bit that bad. So I think that one thing that my overall approach to this slate is not going to be what I usually do and to play the guys I've never heard of or whatever. What I'm going to do instead is probably just try to get a little different at captain, which is what you usually do. You usually like play the regular guys, but just don't play the chalky captains. I think that's what I'm going to try. That's like my overall view. What is you? I guess what do you view of the slate? What's your view of the game? And what do you got overall before we get into these guys?
Yeah, I like the. I mean, I do like the Rams tonight, but I'm just a little bit concerned with the movie. I was going to go to the game tonight, so I'm a little disappointed too. So that was the plan as of when I got home last week before the fire started, and then all of a sudden now obviously that's not up for an option. But I think the passing game of the Rams. I'll probably be lower on Kyron Williams just because of how good the Vikings are against the run. And I'll probably be above all the pass catchers. And I love Tyler Higbee today. I think that's a guy he's a value saver that you could use to make things work. He's the one that actually makes the most sense. We know that he's a really good tight end, and he just hasn't been healthy all year. They played him in the last game just to get him the reps. And basically every time he was on the field, he got the ball. and I think that he's the value that I'm gravitating towards. But I agree with your assessment that it's not as much value as we're used to seeing for a showdown slate, which makes a little more sense in the playoffs. The Davis Allens, the Brandon Powell, all that kind of stuff doesn't feel so great to me. The other one though that you could use for some value, and again, it's not super cheap, but Jalen Naylor, did he have the most catches for the Vikings last week against Detroit? He might have. He was right there anyway. But I think Jalen Naylor is completely live also at 3,600. So he and Higbee are the two value pieces that I'm finding.
Yeah. So the only unfortunate reality is that those two guys are going to be really popular.
Yeah.
I think.
I don't think Higbee will be a popular captain though.
Well, it depends because I haven't really built yet, but if it's one of those situations where if you put him in the captain, then every stud fills in and leaves zero money on the table, then those are going to get in there. So I think that the obvious, the semi-obvious value is going to be Higbee, and then I think the second, obvious pivot off of Higbee, or to use it along with him, is Jalen Naylor. Mm-hmm. The other punts I want you to address are other, one former Ram and another Ram, like Demarcus Robinson and Cam Akers. What do you think of those two guys?
Yeah, I think Akers makes some sense. They've given him runs even in important games, so I don't mind the Akers idea. Robinson, if I ended up with it, I wouldn't cross it off, but I'm not going way out of my way to I'm not going to try and go out of my way to get him. That's sort of the way that I'm treating that one. And I don't think Jalen Naylor is going to be popular at all.
Okay.
For what it's worth. That's just from what I'm seeing out here. There's just a lot of other plays that I think people go more middling range. I don't usually like to play as much of the quarterbacks in the situation. If I did pick one, I think this could be a big game for Stafford. I actually have that Saturday through Monday tournament. I've got some Stafford with Nakua and Kupp, Stafford with Nakua and Higbee. So I think my hope is that we can get that kind of a game out of them. And it's doing really weird stuff like keeping Nakua almost running the Sims is weird because there's I don't want Nakua out of the flex. I want Nakua in most of my lineups, whether it's captain or I know it's not he's going to be popular, but every time I run a sim, they keep trying to give me none of them. And I just think this matchup is too good for him. The way you beat Minnesota is through the air. And I think that all the passing game, and I guess it's sort of my overall take, is what I'm higher on than the running games today.
Well, you brought up a point I wanted to address is you were saying that that it's hard to run on Minnesota, so you expect it to come through the air. Yet on the other hand, the Rams just love to pound that thing,
Yeah.
So I just wonder what's going to give first. Listen, McVay's obviously won Super Bowls. It's been to Super Bowls and whatever, so he's not an idiot. He's not going to just slam into a brick wall, but he does like to run the ball. What do you think? And I'm going to get back to the main guys in a minute, but what do you think of kickers and defense? Then we'll get up to the main players.
Yeah, I'm not getting to as many of the defenses on this one. I do think both kickers are extremely in play. I would give a slight edge to the Rams kicker, but I think it's pretty close, and I think that those are definitely guys you'll find in my lineups.
Yeah, I'm inclined to play the defenses here today.
Okay.
I think that obviously Minnesota and Brian Flores they know what they're doing, and Stafford can listen, he can get fishy sometimes. And we know that Sam Darnold can always get fishy, so I think that all you need is one, all you need is one tip ball and whatever. Yep. And these guys they're going to be low owned and off to the races. So I like the defenses more than the kickers. And I do like a little bit of both defenses. All right, so let's talk about the Rams. We don't need to talk about Puka and Kupp. They're both obviously really, really good plays. And also, Kyron Williams. What do you? So you mentioned Higbee. Do you think that Higbee's the absolute tight end one now, or can you still?
100%. It's just a matter of what does that mean. He hasn't played more than I think 25% of the snaps in a game yet. After the he had his ACL torn, and he's coming back from that injury. But I mean, you could see it last week last week in Seattle. Every time he's on the field, they were looking for him, but that's also because Kupp and Nakua were out. But yeah, he's without a doubt the number one tight end. It's just a question is, I don't know that he necessarily plays he doesn't necessarily play the most snaps, but he'll be in the most pass catching down snaps. He's the one who can certainly do the most damage. But yeah, it's completely possible that Parkinson, or I think Parkinson would make more sense than Allen, but it wouldn't shock me if either of those guys. And you're really just hoping for that one touchdown play.
Right.
Who was it for the Eagles yesterday? Jahan Dotson, who hadn't had one all year. He caught their first touchdown pass like a minute into the game.
Yeah,
you're hoping for one of those type of things. But I think Allen would be a little bit behind. What's his name? Parkinson, but he's also much cheaper than Parkinson. 200 versus 1,200. So I do like to get to a little bit of the Parkinson. And right now I've got 12% of him. He's projected to be 2% owned. I think that makes some sense.
What about Demarcus Robinson, though? I mean, obviously they prefer to get the ball to Puka or Kupp or whatever, but he is the wide receiver 3, and he can get downfield too. So
big plays.
Yeah. So do you like him at all? And the other wide receiver I'll mention is the Tutu Atwell.
Yeah, currently I'm a little bit ahead on Robinson. I have like 13%, and the field is like 9, so not a huge stance. And then Atwell, I'm having a hard time. Like usually it goes to Robinson being the third receiver, but could there be a certain situation where it's Atwell on there? Yeah, like I just don't think I'm not getting to much of it, and I don't think anybody in the field will be either. But these are the kind of plays that'll get you off the board and maybe could get you there because they're cheap, and again, no one's playing them.
The other thing I would say about Atwell is that considering that the Rams, I mean, I think that McVay would prefer to run the ball, right? But if he can, I think the next best option is to go for some short stuff, and they run plays for Atwell, like they might just try to get him in a wide receiver screen, maybe do a reverse or something like that. Like when he's in the game, like I legitimately think he's going to touch the ball,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't mind that as a punt.
He had that one game against the Bills where it was solid with Kupp and Nakua. Other than that, he's been really, really quiet.
Was that right?
Okay. And I think it's just going to be. I just don't think anybody's going to play him because if you're going to be in that price tier, they're just going to play Higbee. And Demarcus Robinson completely faded out for a while too. He basically had almost no work. I don't think he had a catch the previous 4 weeks until last week, where obviously they sat Kupp and Nakua. So I don't think people are going to get to these plays. I personally think it's going to be very Kupp and Nakua heavy, along with Higbee. But I certainly don't mind the idea of taking a shot on these guys while they're low owned. And my lean would be Robinson, but he's also more expensive. So maybe if you need the extra 800, Atwell would be the one you could fill in addition to Higbee. But it's really hard for me to play him over Higbee.
So every game that the Rams play, I mean, they do give a series or so at least to the backup running back, right? And they have what's his name is out, I guess. The Blake Corum he got sent down into reserve. So I guess the next best thing is Ronnie Rivers, I guess, for the Rams. Is that the case? And do you like him at all?
I'm not getting to the Rivers thing myself.
Okay.
Let me see what I ended up with. If I ended up with any of it whatsoever. Sorry, I just got a note from one of our subscribers that somebody's impersonating me on Discord and sending out stock trading things, which is really irritating. Man, could I just run pure for like a month or something, like without on any fires or family illnesses or anything, and just like no theft anymore. It's just getting annoying. I didn't think
a different screen name or something like.
It's Bob. It says Bobby, but it says Bobby 5, but there's Bobby with 2 Y's, and then. So
to be in the Discord, you have to be a paid subscriber. So you tell me someone's paying to.
Well, no, you don't have to be a paid to join the general part of the Discord. You do for all the premium channels.
Okay.
So I'm going to try and find this person and see if I can get Goldie to help me track him down.
Or put an end to the free Discord. How about that?
Well, the only problem is we still like to have like some people who chat and some people come in and out and stuff or whatever, talk general stuff. So, but yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Okay. So Viking stuff. The natural guys that I want to listen, obviously Jefferson, but the natural other guys that you want to play are the non-Jefferson. So why don't you rank like the Addisons, Hawkinson? I like all these guys, like Addison, Hawkinson, Naylor we talked about, and then you every once in a while you get the Josh Oliver, Johnny Munt gets they actually get targets pretty frequently. So in lotteries, I think you can play them. But again, like to play them in bigger buy-ins, you just have such an easier option when you play Higbee.
Right.
Who's actually the tight end one. What do you think of the Vikings receivers?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Addison is the second best receiver, but he's going to have some ownership. So I might actually be underweight him. I might be a little bit higher on the Rams, like just in terms of 4-2 stacks and that kind of thing. But Addison, I'm getting like 20% of him right now. And the field will probably be around 40. I didn't get to him as a captain. And if you don't want to play, like if you want to go different, like I mentioned, instead of those other Rams guys, I think Jalen Naylor is completely in play at 3,600. So I would like to be a little bit overweight the whatever 5% he's supposed to be owned right now. That would be the main ones for me. And then I don't mind the idea of the other tight ends. I just wish they were a little cheaper. I think Oliver would be the one I would prefer, but certainly not going to argue with Munt is a little bit cheaper than Oliver. So, but you're right. They do get work, and you will see them occasionally catch a pass in the game, and maybe that happens to be the one that gets in the end zone. That's what you're hoping.
Who do you think's more likely? So you have who do you think's more likely? Not so more likely, but I see I have Ronnie Rivers at 2K. Then you have Cody Schrader. He's 200. I'm just looking at guys that I'm projecting for a point or whatever it is. I mean, the chances they get enough to actually score anything is like very, very small. That's and like even the Jordan Whittington, like he's like expensive. He's like 2,800.
Yeah, that's weird.
So what would happen if I'm just trying to do this? I'm going to X out like all this stuff, like the CJ Hams and even the Davis Allens. But I want to keep these guys in. I want to keep in Kobe Parkinson or Davis Allen, but like Trent Sherfield.
Well, it really just depends on, we talked about it with your win the other night. Like, what are you building? So if my core is going to be Jefferson, Cup, Nakua, Higbee, probably some Stafford, you're going to need some, whether it's Stafford or Darnold, you're going to need some value.
Well, my point is I wanted to see if that was actually the case. So what I'm doing is I'm Xing these guys out and then just rebuilding everything. And then I want to see what I actually can create. Yeah, so whichever punts I leave in there just remain I'm getting to. Like, see, I left Davis Allen in and Parkinson and I'm getting them all, but what happens again if we just get rid of all of it? Let's do it again. Let's just rebuild. Then what's going to probably happen, like you said, is maybe you get like Higbee in the captain or something like that, or even Naylor in the captain, or maybe Rams defense in the captain or something like that. But then you probably end up getting probably all of the Higbee, right? Let's just see what I would get. So like in this case, in the flex, I have like kind of more of the normal guys. Let me see who I would get in the captain. I have 13 captains. I mean, I could do it. I mean, like I can do it without too much stress. You get some Higbee captains, but not that many. And once again, get the Colby Parkinson. Why can't I? They won't even let me get rid of Colby Parkinson. So you don't have to play all those guys, to build decent lineups. Like I'm just looking at some examples, like this one right here. I mean, this is 49-1, and it's got. I mean, it doesn't have everybody. It's got whatever you need. You know what I mean? You got all top flight plays. You got Jefferson and the captain. You got Puka, Darnold, Hawkinson. Okay, you got the Rams defense and Higbee. But these are all very reasonable lineups without having to go down to, to the complete punts. Now you don't get everything. You don't get double quarterbacks. You don't get whatever. Well, look at this one. So this one's got Jefferson and Darnold together, and then it's got Stafford with Puka, Higbee, and Parkinson. This one's got Parkinson, but yet still. So I don't think you need to go down to these punts to get what you need. Where I think I needed to the other day with the Henry and Lamar. This one has Akers in it too. So you probably leave Akers in your player pool, right?
Yeah, I would leave him in there for sure.
Yeah.
I don't think it's impossible that he could get in the end zone either. He's gotten plenty of taking some work.
Right.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I really had to talk about. So that would be my advice is to be very selective. And again, this is coming from someone who play anybody. I mean, to be very selective in playoff games. You know, where it's win or go home, playing guys that are like wide receiver 6. You know.
But you know what's crazy? Did you see who scored all the touchdowns? The first touchdowns? Troy Franklin, Jahan Dotson. Who was the other one that was really weird?
Curtis Samuel. But
Curtis Samuel, yeah.
But Troy Franklin was actually like competing for wide receiver 2 roles. I mean, like,
right.
Like the Dotson thing was like, huh? What happened?
Right. But weirdly enough, though, Troy Franklin was still 1% owned.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. I actually didn't look at the winners, but I'm kind of curious to go back and take a look at some of that stuff when I have a chance.
Well, you needed Samuel.
You must have left like a bunch on the table, though. Like I felt like
I don't think so, because Henry was a lot, right?
That was Saturday.
Oh, Barkley scored decent. You know, he was over 20.
Yeah, he and Jacobs, I guess, were fine.
Yeah.
Jacobs, who could not move at all on the ground, and then just got things going in the second half a little bit.
Yeah. That's what happens, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
So this game starts at 8, right?
Yep.
All right. So I am gonna probably get back on. Okay, so if you start the NBA at 6:30 and leave at 6:45 or so,
I'll start at 6. I'll start a little.
Right, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
I'll probably be able to spell you at 6:45.
Okay.
And finish up the NBA and then go start right into the showdown. I want to make sure that all these guys are active. So at 6:30 they'll come up with the actives, and I'll be able to build a little bit there.
Yeah, sounds good. Look forward to it, man.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, guys.
See you later.